This is 7th grade, 1.4, page 17 in your book, Order of Operations. Key vocabulary is order of operations, so let me get my pen going here, if I can. So in your notes you have our little line right here. Order of operations is a certain order, right here obviously, to do the operations of math. That's add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So the order, there's a couple of ways to look at it. One way is to remember these little I call it PEMDAS, P-E-M-D-A-S, and some people remember it as please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That's just a little saying to help you remember the order of the letters, because order is important. So in this case, the P stands for, as you're taking notes, the P stands for parentheses, and it's not always neat when I write in cursive, but I'm going to write it in cursive, P-A-R. Okay, P stands for parentheses, so you do everything in the parentheses first. And if you could also look on page 17 in your book, there is a key concept box, which is the blue box, and it says order of operations. Number 1, it says evaluate expressions inside grouping symbols. Parenthesis groups something. You know, a parenthesis looks like, if I'm not pinning it, looks like this. But this is also a bracket, is also a grouping symbol. Looks like this. So those are all grouping symbols, parentheses, brackets. So that's what P stands for. Okay, then E is exponent. Sorry, I just can't get this board to work. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'll get it figured out someday. E-X-P-N-E-N-T. Exponent is like, remember that little number up there? Right there, the powers. So those you would do second after the parentheses. M means to multiply. Okay, and D means divide. A is add, and S add, and S is to subtract. And I like to put little arrows above, if I can, with my pen. I like to put little arrows above these right here, which means you do them in order from left to right as you come to it. So if you come to a division before a multiplication, you would do the division before the multiplication, and so on with the addition and the subtraction. So going through the box, let's see what I wrote. It says, number 1, evaluate expressions inside grouping symbols. That's the parentheses, the P. Number 2, evaluate the powers. That's the exponent. Number 3, multiply and divide from left to right. That's why I put the arrows above them. And then add or subtract from left to right, which is why I put the arrows above those. So let's take a look at example 1, which, remember, you're writing them with me, these examples. So example number 1, it says, music, following order of operations. You buy a used guitar for $50. You then pay $10 for each of 5 guitar lessons. The total cost can be found by evaluating the expression 50 plus 10 times 5. Is the total cost 100 or 300? Well, you know that depending on what order you do the operations in, you'll get different answers. So we go back to PEMDAS, and if you remember, it said to multiply and divide before you add and subtract. So over here, we have to do this part first. So 10 times 5 would be 50. We do that first, and then add the 50. Even though it wasn't written first, we have to follow order of operations. So it comes out to be $100. And you can kind of use some common sense right there, knowing that 10 lessons and they cost $10 for 5 lessons, that would be $50. So you can kind of use some common sense, some reasonableness. So let's see how they answered this. If I can find my mouse for the thing. I'm not doing very good here. There we go. Get it to work. Cool. Alright, so it says to evaluate that. So we go, do 10 times 5 first, then multiply first before you can add. So you end up with 50 plus 50, which is what we had, and then it equals 100. So that answer for example number 1, $100. So example number 2, it says evaluate x minus 3y to the third when x is 25 and y is 2. So evaluate means find the answer. So we're up here evaluating. Find my pen again. Evaluate. So for x, I'm going to put a 25 minus 3 and then y to the third, and I'm going to put parentheses because it's 3 times y to the third. Now the only thing I'm taking to the third power is the 2. I'm not taking the 3 to the third power. It is not attached to the third power. The only thing is the y. So I'm going to do that part first, which is the exponent, because you know, there are parentheses there, but you'll notice there's just a 2 inside of it. And the only reason why I'm using the parentheses is to indicate multiplication. So 2 to the third means 2 times 2 times 2, which was that other lesson that we did just before this. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So this part becomes an 8 right here. So it's 3 times 8, which is 24. So I get 25 minus 24, which is 1. So let's see how, and these can be kind of tricky, so here they substituted. Oh, sorry, I was writing all over that. Here, let me get my eraser, maybe. Just I thought I could erase it. Let's erase that so you can see a little bit. And evaluate the power, which you can see that's where they got the 8, just like I did. Then they multiplied the 3 times, which is 25, minus 24, which is what I got. And you subtract and you get 1. So we did that one right. So let's practice some of these. In our guided practice, which you're doing with me, we look up here and we see there's multiplying. We know we multiply before we add, so we have to do this part first. So I'm just going to bring the 5 down, multiply that one, and get 30. And 30 plus 5 is 35. And we got that one right. This one, we go through, I'm following the PEMDAS, there's no parentheses, but I see an exponent. So I got to do that first, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to rewrite it. And 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16, divided by 2. And then still following the rules of order of operations, I have to divide before I can subtract. So 16 divided by 2 is 8, and 20 minus 8 is 12. The answer is 12. Number 3, following order of operations again, there are no parentheses, but I see this exponent, so I'm going to do that first. 3 to the third means 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. So that's going to be a 27. What we got going here? Then I multiply before I add. So I multiply the 10 times 3, and I get 57. So let's see if we're on the right track there. The answer is 57. Okay. So now here, let's do some expressions we're evaluating. We have to substitute some values in. So A is 6. So I put 6 plus 4 times, and you can use a dot if you'd like instead of the parentheses, 5 squared. Well, I have to do the exponent first, so I have to do that. It's going to be 25 times 4 plus 6. I multiply before I add. So 25 times 4 is 100, I think 4 quarters. And then add the 6, 106. Let's see what we get here. The answer is 106. All right, example number 3. It says using the left to right rule, and this is one of the things I was talking about with the arrows above the PEMDAS coming across the multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. So you'll notice that A has only addition and subtraction. And in PEMDAS, addition in this A and S, the addition is written before the subtraction, but that doesn't matter. You do it in order from left to right. So you just start from the left, and since it's only addition and subtraction, you see 12 minus 7, which is why it's in red. You do that first. 12 minus 7 is 5 plus 3 minus 6. Okay, again, left to right, we do the addition first. So 8 minus 6, which is 2. We just go in order from left to right when there's only addition and subtraction. So down here, let's see what they do. Subtract 7 from 12, which is where we got our 5. And then they added the 5 and the 3, which we did. And 8 minus 6 is 2. This one again, multiplication and division is the same thing. The only thing we have is multiplication and division. You do those in order from left to right. So even though it's division, and because it's first, we do that first. 4 divided by 9 is 6, and 6 times 3 is 18. So we go, let's see what they do. Divide, 6 times 3, and the answer is 18. Okay, example number 4, using grouping symbols. Remember that was the P in our PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So here we are with our grouping symbols. We do that first, 8 minus, so we have 4, and we still have the parentheses. That means to times. So I'm going to keep the parentheses. 4 times 3 is 12. So that's a pretty quick one. Let's see how we did. Subtract inside the parentheses, which we did. Multiply 4 times 3, and you get 12. So this one, there aren't really grouping symbols, but this is a division problem. You simplify the top, the numerator, you simplify the denominator, and then you divide. So we have, on the top, we have 13 plus 7, which is 20, and 2 times 5, which is 10, and that comes out to be 2. Let's see what they get the 20. Ooh, look, I almost wrote right up where it is. Divide it out, and the answer is 2. This one, same deal. We have parentheses, so we do those first. So we have 4 plus 1, which is 5. And we still have the exponent on the outside, times 3. We still do the exponent first, which is 25. And 3/4 makes 75. So that's pretty easy to multiply if you think of it like money. So add inside the parentheses. Evaluate the power, which is where I got the 25. 25 times 3 is 75. Okay, here's our guided practice, practicing some of these order of operations. This right here, you look at it, all it has is addition and subtraction from left to right. So we do the left to right rule, and we start doing problems as we come to it. So 18 minus 10 is 8. I'm just going to put the 8 right there. 8 plus 5 right there is 13. And 13 minus 1 is 12. So those, I just followed that left to right rule, did them in order as I came to them. The answer is 12. Okay, this one, I see parentheses, so the first thing I'm going to do, let's simplify this first set of parentheses. That's going to be a 10. The second set of parentheses, 6 minus 3 is 3, and the squared is going to stay with it. So we do that because it's an exponent. 3 squared means 3 times 3, so that's 9. The 10 and this were the parentheses meant to multiply. So it's 10 times 9, which is 90. Let's see if we got that one right. Yep. Here we have a fraction, a numerator and a denominator. So we're going to take 8 times 3, which is 24. And 4 plus 2, which is 6, and that means to divide. 6 goes into 24 4 times exact. So again, there's our basic facts coming in, making it easy for us. The answer is 4. Okay, evaluating this expression again, there's only addition and subtraction, so we just go in order from left to right. So here's 25 minus 6. We do that first, which is 19. 19 minus 14 is 5. And 5 plus 3 is 8. So the answer is 8. I just went in order from left to right. This one is also left to right because it's only multiplying and dividing, so we go ahead and we do this dividing first. 16 divided by 2, which is 8, times 11, which is 88. Okay, this one has a little bit more in it. There's first, I see some parentheses, so let's go ahead and do that first. 9 plus 1 is 10, and the 16 and the 10, there's parentheses on there, that means to multiply, and there's subtraction, so we always multiply before we subtract. So 16 times 10 is 160, minus 30, and I just know 60 minus 30 is 30, that 1 would stay with it, so 130. Works out good. Okay, example number 5, standardized test practice says, the tricks and point values for skateboarding video game are shown in the table. You complete 1 burn twist, 3 backflips, and 4 360-degree flips. How many points do you score? Alright, so we did how many? We did 1 burn twist, so that's going to be, that's going to be 500, because we only did 1 of them. Plus you did 3 backflips, so 3 times 400, because we did that 3 times, they're worth 400. Plus 4 360 flips, they're each worth 150. So I know I have to multiply these before I can add, so 3 times 400 is 1200, plus our 500, plus 4 times 150, well 4 times 100, break it down as 400, and 4 times 50, 4 times 5 is 20, and add another 0 is 200, so that would be 600 points right there. So 500 and 600 make 1100. I'll just combine those right there. You get 2300 points, which would be right up here. Disappeared. Which would be D. It's always nice to, when you're doing multiple choice, for the answer to be up there. So there's our expression. Notice they multiplied to get their 1200 and their 600 just like we did. And you can add in any order. Notice they're still, they added some other numbers first, but we ended up with the same answer. So the answer is D. Okay, the guided practice for example number 5. What if, in example number 5, suppose you complete 2 burn twists, 2 backflips, and 1 360-degree flip. How many points did you score? So going back to that table, 2 burn twists are 500. So, and you could multiply as you go, but since we're practicing, let's write this as a 2 times 500 plus 2 backflips. Backflips are 400. So 2 times 400 plus 1 360-degree flip, which is 150, and I'm getting these in the table at the top of page 19. So 2 at 500 would be 1,000. 2 at 400 would be 800, just multiplying those numbers. And we don't have to multiply the last one because there was only 1 of them. So that would be 1,800 plus 150 would be 1,950 points. And I'd put a label on it since it is a story problem. And we got it right. Alright, that's it for 1.4. It's time for you to practice some order of operations. We'll see you next time.